My name is Carol Rose Brown, and I'm the director of the Jamaica Center of Tourism Innovation, which is a division of the Tourism Enhancement Fund, which is part of the Ministry of Tourism. The JCTI is a strategy the Ministry of Tourism is using to expand the number of persons in the tourism sector who have certification, internationally benchmarked certification. Our primary partners are the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, HART NTA, which is the parent of NCTVET, the regional certification body, as well as the Jamaica Committee on Tertiary Education, which is the Association of Local Colleges and Universities. Our international partners include the American Hotel and Lodging Educational Institute and the American Culinary Federation. At present, we are doing an array of programs in hospitality, tourism, and culinary arts certification. So that would include hospitality supervision, spa management, bartender certification, an array of culinary certifications, certified culinarians, sous chefs, certified executive chef. And of course, we're embarking on a new kind of certification in Spanish language training using some new techniques that are coming out of the Instituto Cervantes. My hope is that more and more people will understand the importance of certification. Certification is not new, it's with us everywhere. For example, if you go to school and you have a bachelor's degree in nursing, you're not a nurse. You have to go through the nursing council and get certified through the nursing council when you become a registered nurse. Same thing for accountants, lawyers, doctors. And we want the people to understand and accept more and more that certification in tourism is very important, because tourism is very important to the success of our country's economic development. And so having quality people benchmarked at international standards is very important for the progress and improvement of our sector. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you all for joining us. My name is Carol Rose Brown, and I work for the Tourism Enhancement Fund. I'm delighted to be here with you this afternoon. I'm delighted that you could join us for this discussion, Seasoning the Talent, how to attract and retain the right talent. Before we get started, let me share with you a few remarks from Minister Edmund Bartlett, the Minister of Tourism, our leader.
Congratulations to the Tourism Enhancement Fund and its Tourism Linkage Network Division for executing this virtual gastronomy forum series, which will aid in preparing the culinary industry for the rebound of the tourism sector in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been a hard year, but we are resilient and we will recover stronger. So, in these sessions, you will be getting information at the highest level to refresh the minds of those who already know and open the minds to new thinking for those who did not know. The strength of this industry is still around food. So let's get it right and build our capacity to respond to this great demand, and in so doing, leave behind the most delightful aspects of every experience a visitor has, the culinary genius of our people.
Thank you, Minister. And so you know we're talking about food, about gastronomy. One of the cornerstones of our effort in tourism to ready our industry to respond to new tourism that is coming. For this, we need chefs. And ladies and gentlemen, cooks are not chefs. Chef is the credential you get after taking and passing very hard practical and theoretical examinations. The Jamaica Center of Tourism Innovation, which I have the honor of leading at this time, is in the business of preparing tourism workers and college students to be chefs in the kitchens of Jamaica's leading restaurants and hotels. These persons who will qualify as chefs have the task of refining what our grandmothers, mothers, and aunties fed us, transforming Jamaican food into Jamaican cuisine. This is at once an easy and a hard job. It is easy because we have the best food in the world. I hear the applause out there. We do have the best food in the world. But it's also hard because learning the skills required to manage a kitchen with equipment worth in the millions of dollars, hundreds of staff, and millions of dollars spent on food and liquor and crockery and glassware and utensils is not a simple matter. These people here this afternoon have unique insights as to how we train, certify, and retain the best chefs in our business, because they know that the business of retaining good chefs is about delivering the service their clients need. So this afternoon, we have a panel of distinguished persons, local and international. We begin with Dr. Janet Dyer, the Managing Director of the Heart NSTA. She needs no introduction, really, as everyone in Jamaica knows about the groundbreaking work of Heart. Before they come to us for certification, they must go through Heart to achieve level 2 certification. And Dr. Dyer, I should also tell you it's a secret. She started out in culinary. She'll tell you more about this. Then we have Chef John Shop, who is the chairman of the Certification Commission of the American Culinary Federation. Through this organization, we at the JCTI facilitate the certification of chefs. He's a really talented pastry chef who teaches at the University of Virginia and operates a pastry business of his own. I believe that he knows a few things about training and keeping staff we want to hear this afternoon. The next person on your panel is Chef Ravi Ann, and he has an interesting story. He's an ACF certified executive sous chef, and he'll tell you that he's a Jamaican, even though when you look at him, you'll know he's Indian, but he came here, and as far as he's concerned, he's a Jamaican. We know him and love him because he is also, in addition to being a certified executive chef, is a certified ACF evaluator. And we need him as we evaluate and certify young chefs. His insights on both sides of the discussion, both on the management of restaurants and the training and certification of young people as chefs, I believe will be very inspiring. And finally, last but not least, we have Mr. Clifton Reader, who is the general manager of Moon Palace. He's among the few Jamaican general managers in our country and employs one of our star boys, one of our chef star boys, as a certified sous chef. And he'll tell you what hoteliers are looking for when hiring chefs and how much effort they make to keep their talented chefs. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let me introduce Dr. Janet Dyer and ask her to present. Thank you. Dr. Dyer.
Good afternoon, everyone. Seasoning the talent, attracting and retaining the right talent. Jamaica has never been this strong in gastronomy. However, over the last 15 to 20 years, we had only about 2 Jamaican chefs in our industry, with a large population of sous chefs, chef de parties, and other chefs with great skills. This led Hart to pioneer the establishment of an executive chef training program through the Culinary Institute of America. Since then, we have been able to partner with the American Culinary Federation, the Jamaica Center for Tourism Innovation, and we now have scores of Jamaican executive chefs working alongside our world-class expats that we have coming into Jamaica to deliver the finest Jamaican seasoned and inspired cuisines that is tantalizing the palates of the world. Jamaica's world-class tourism industry has benefited from great congenial and loyal staffing over the years. But we are at that point where the face of the industry is changing with the infusion of a new talent that comes from our persons that we label Generation Y, AKA the millennials. They are here, and with them, they are changing times that requires new approaches. Millennial culture is bringing dramatic changes to the workplace. With that, we also have the COVID-19 pandemic, which has been a massive disruptor. It has disrupted our tourism industry, but being the resilient industry that we are, we realize that we have to become innovative, and our employees have to become innovative also. So human resource departments must change their existing approaches to talent acquisition and retention based on the new realities that are out there. In 2014, PricewaterhouseCoopers woke up to the reality that by 2016, almost 80% of their staff, which is over 180,000 in 158 countries, would be millennials. Pricewaterhouse then commissioned the University of Southern California and the London Business School to find out why their employees under the age of 30 were resigning from high-paying professional positions before completing 2 years of employment. And we find that the more millennials were rejecting traditional work-life balance accepted by our baby boomers. And you know, a lot of us come from the era of the baby boomers. They wanted greater flexibility at work. They preferred to work as collaborative teams instead of individual work. They place greater emphasis on mutual trust, respect, support, and positive feedback. Now, at the core of Jamaica's super tourism brand is that special relationship dynamic between the visitor and the skilled, congenial Jamaican hospitality worker. Notwithstanding generational gaps and COVID-19, we must do our best to season the talent of all our workers, especially those engaged in the gastronomical side of our business. Seizing the talent, number one, we must build a workplace culture that will attract talented employees and match what they are demanding. Number two, we must cultivate a flexible work culture based on unique talent and engagement. No longer do we employ persons in our industry, especially our culinarians, that says to us, anything you have in the kitchen, boss man. We are looking at persons who come to us to say, I am a chef party, I am a chef de patisserie, I am a sous chef, and these are the skills that I come with. And this is what I am demanding, to be able to give of my best to the persons who come to our properties to enjoy our cuisine. We have to provide the best tools for team collaboration and operation. We have to ensure that the persons who work with us, that we build a culture of unity, culture of them giving their best. And this culture has to be managed by their team managers. We have to encourage transparent performance and reward decision. Not this person giving off his best and the other not giving off his best, and I use this person to cover the activities of the other. We have to be transparent with our new, I call them our new breed of workers coming into the hospitality industry. The one size fits all does not work for our new breed of workers that we have. We have to stay connected with them to ensure that as they give of their best, we cultivate a high performance environment to ensure that they are not just coming in on a daily basis to say, this is what the chef or this is what my restaurant manager tells me to do today, and this is all I'm doing. We have to give them that vibe to become innovative, to become creative, and give them room to expand on their levels of creativity. So as we season the talent, gastronomy tourism is fundamental to the success of the tourism industry in Jamaica. Our food is revered across the world. And if we do not ensure that the products that we put in, which are our workers, are performing at the highest level, then the product that we give to our visitors will not be as attractive as we want it to be. We must consistently invest in making our properties creative spaces for the core engaging design in fine cuisines and gastronomic experience for our visitors. I cannot have a culinary space where the chefs and the culinarians do not have the kind of equipment that they need to produce these tantalizing dishes. They must have that, and we must invest in it. If we don't invest, they're going to move on. They're going to move on to another property that will give them the tools and equipment that they need to work. We must inspire our gastronomic teams by investing in their ongoing education, training, and development. JCTI, in partnership with HEART, in partnership with the American Culinary Federation, is doing a phenomenal job at that. So we have to ensure that our young people, as they come into our enterprises, we ensure that we invest in their training, ongoing education, ongoing development. We have to remember that gastronomy changes daily. The trends in the industry changes daily. And we have to continuously educate our employees to ensure that they are more, they say in Jamaica, they said they're moving with the times, that they have what they need to ensure that our tourism industry remains the #1. And lastly, in conclusion, I want to say we must celebrate and recognize the skills and ingenuity of the persons who we have as our culinarians. What we keep saying is, if we don't recognize them, they go into, I don't want to say they go into abeyance, but they go off thinking that what they're doing is not appreciated. And so we don't get the best from them. So last, but by no means least, as we season the talent, let us celebrate the skills of our culinarians that we have in training and those that we have producing these fabulous, tantalizing dishes that we serve to our persons in Jamaica. I want to say thank you all for listening, and let's continue to season the talent.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dyer. We certainly have a lot to chew on in that regard. I must tell you a little story. We were in New Orleans a few years ago at an ACF conference, and a new Caribbean restaurant was open there. As my ACF guy friends decided that we had to go to this restaurant for lunch, mind you. And of course, on the menu, Dr. Dyer, was curried goat. And of course, I had to have had curried goat. Let me tell you something. It didn't taste the half of our curried goat, and it cost $75 a plate. I'm just saying, we need to get serious about this food business. And so it is absolutely apropos that we turn to my friend and colleague, John Sharp, who comes to us from the American Culinary Federation. John, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carol Rose. Dr. Dyer, drop the mic. That is the kind of dynamic boss I want to have. You have the passion, and that's what it takes to lead this charge for sure. So, wow, you've spelled it all out for us. I'm here to talk ACF culinary certification a little bit. And I'd like to tell you, before I introduce you to a video I have, ACF was the first to bring me to the island. I had never been to the Caribbean, never been to beautiful Jamaica. And I landed there to a dinner with Carol Rose Brown and a very spirited discussion. And the next several days, I was in kitchen after kitchen after kitchen. And what I saw was a passion in the people, a passion in the young culinarians that I wished I had in my own classroom back here in the United States in Virginia. These young culinarians are so eager to learn, so respectful, and you should be so proud of that culture that you have there. So I'd like to introduce a short video and then talk to you a little bit about certification at the end of that. We can cue the video.
Certification through the American Culinary Federation is really important in our industry because it equates the playing field. What they've done is they've established the standard for the industry of culinary excellence and really raised the bar of both skills and knowledge throughout the entire career ladder of a young culinary professional, where that bar is now clearly defined, where you can achieve those tangible goals through a step ladder progression of education, work experience, knowledge, and skill set. And an industry employer looks at certification and really has the confidence in their decision in hiring a certified cook that they know and meet those industry standards and criteria.
Certifications can help culinarians in many ways. One, it helps them to refine their skill set, helps them to validate what they know and have achieved, and it'll help them validate what they can do in industry to help seek out jobs. It's a path to help set a guideline for that continued growth throughout their professional career.
I was able to get better jobs through certification, and people see that you have dedication to your craft and that you continually educate yourself. You seem to get more people interested in wanting you in their kitchen.
Certification has impacted my career in many wonderful ways. It's helped me determine where I stand amongst my colleagues. It's opened up doors of support amongst the chef community, but most importantly, it's provided me with avenues for continued education and continued growth.
Certifications impacted my professional career by really enhancing my skill set and knowledge base, and has really focused me back on the basic techniques and fundamentals of cooking.
Oh, there have been a lot of successes and there have been a few failures in practical exams. Some of the successes are, you see someone that's so anxious and young, and they go and they hit it out of the park because they followed the whole guidelines. They've read everything they were supposed to read. They practiced 5 to 6, 7 times, and they come in and they're just organized and ready to go. Some of the failures are just the exact opposite. They walk in and they're just not ready. They become successes in the long run, because if they don't do well that day, one of our major goals as practical examiners and evaluators is to get them back and give them some tools to get them back in for the next exam. And eventually they come back in there and they pass their exam.
Some practical exam successes would be first seeking out a mentor, understanding what you're testing for, reading the manual, practicing, knowing your certification practical exam site, checking it out, knowing where to park, knowing how to load, how to unload, how to clean up at the end of the exam. Those are all good things that should make a candidate successful.
We see successes and we see failures. And the people who don't make it typically do not have the skills. And it's always the basics. Sanitation. If that's not a standard where you work, and you're continually working in an unclean manner, you're going to bring that to the exam. And I can pretty much guarantee you'll fail. It's important for a cook, a chef, a baker, a pastry chef to value your daily experience, repetition, doing over and over and over quality work, but doing it in a way that does not discount the fundamental principles of cooking.
Find yourself a mentor. When you're getting ready to take that practical exam, you need to find someone that you can work with, talk with, troubleshoot, bounce questions off of, and even practice, knowing exactly what you need to do that day and the standards that are set by the American Culinary Federation.
So I think some of the most important ways to prepare for a practical is really to get a mental game plan together of how your workflow is going to look, what mise en place steps you're going to take and in what order, and really mentally get a game plan together, and then really practice it. I think having a friend watch you and time you and really critique each one of your steps so you can have a feedback session at the end of it. Really, it's all about mentorship and teamwork and building that connectivity in the industry, and then practice, practice, practice.
Your plates will be evaluated by 3 trained evaluators. You will be provided critique and review of what went great and what might need a little bit of improvement. The plates will be tasted, and then you'll be expected to clean up your station, leave it nice and sanitary.
To prepare for the practical, I have a very strong personal belief in how to do that, and you do that in acting every single day. You commit to a philosophy, you commit to a style, you commit to excellence and working to improve every single day. But it's not something you turn on and off. It's not, I'm going to come in and cook this way just for the practical exam, and I'm going to do this in my kitchen that's lazy or not accurate or not to standard. So in my mind, it's a commitment daily to a high level of excellence and standard to the craft of cooking. That's how an individual should approach the journey and continue to go forward with that.
Over the past 15 years, I've seen certification make a lot of strides, and I'm very proud of certification today. And I just wish we could get more young kids and midlife chefs interested in coming in and getting a certification. I think it's one of the most valuable things out there.
Fantastic. So to follow up a little bit, this webinar is meant to create a conversation on hiring and retaining talent. And so I'd like to tell my story. I own a catering company in Virginia. We are an off-site catering company, meaning we don't have any catering halls attached to us. We have to travel. We do just about $1.25 million pre-COVID in sales. So not the largest, but not the smallest. 7 years ago, I decided to retool my kitchen, and under the philosophy that nobody touches food unless they have entry-level certification. And then from that point on, everybody's path is based on that next certification. So if you work for me, you don't get a raise because you've been with me for 3 years. That doesn't prove that you're any more valuable to me other than you've been hanging around, which is important. When you pass your next professional credential, you've shown me that you're willing to invest in yourself, your knowledge, and that is meaningful to me. And as an employer, I choose to support that process 100% in paying ACF membership, in paying for any support materials, practice test that my team needs. And what I get in I guess, repayment for that is a group of about 18 culinarians that are all working at various levels of certification, focused on their self-improvement, and intangibly, it affects my business. They bring joy in their heart. They want to work. They want to do things the right way. They want to do things right when no one's looking because they know what they're trying to achieve. And so I've been very successful with that program. In fact, it's taken me to that $1.25 million property where I was just $500,000 in sales prior to that when I implemented this program. So the argument that an employer can't afford this or it doesn't work, I would challenge that. What it takes is an excited leader that says, hey, everything we do matters. As Chef Beelan said in that video, you don't turn off and turn on the way that you perform as a culinary professional based on I'm taking an exam or not. It is something you should put into your routine every single day. I believe Jamaica is a leader in certification and the mindset of what you are trying to do as a nation. The Honorable Minister Bartlett, I think, has it absolutely right. That this is the way to go. You already have a nation of loving people, but we need to validate and hone specific skill sets across the globe. And those skill sets need constant honing and constant verifying. What I get with a certified culinarian, as opposed to somebody off the street that's been cooking for a while, or perhaps somebody that's gone to university, is somebody that is interested in what they're doing currently, not interested in what they were doing 6 years ago when they went to school. I know that I have a focused culinarian when I bring that in. And the idea, I think even meeting with Carol Rose Brown and her colleagues has shifted the way even ACF thinks about how we evaluate and what we're trying to do. And I'm pleased to say that we've embarked on a written exam change that we haven't seen in decades. One that is Caribbean specific, not European specific, okay? So we called out for subject matter experts from the Bahamas to Barbados, many on the island of Jamaica, and have rewritten the exams in a way that makes sense to Jamaicans and Caribbeans, not Europeans. And I would say as a chef and as an educator, I'm also a tourist. And roughly 1 year ago and a week ago, my memories were coming up. I was being chased off the island with COVID. I didn't have COVID, but it was chasing us around, left, and had a very wonderful time at Jamaica. Every time I'm there, I have a wonderful time in the Caribbean. But I got to tell you, I had to fight and look for Jamaican cuisine. And so this idea as a chef, I want to come, you guys have such beautiful agriculture products, beautiful chicken, beautiful produce, great coffee, chocolates being made on the island now, and peanuts. I don't come to Jamaica to eat European food that is maybe not the best European food because of the climate. I want to eat Jamaican food. I want to eat that, taste the heritage, hear the stories. You have just a tremendous opportunity, but be careful. You need to implement proper sanitation, proper cooking methodologies, proper knife skills, and then apply it to, as Carol Rose said, the cuisines of your mothers and your grandmothers, and bring it to an elevated state, and the world will come and celebrate the cuisines of Jamaica. And we look forward to that. There are many partners here in the US and around that want to help with that cause, because we see it as a beautiful, just diamond in the rough, waiting to shine. So when I come and maybe stay at an all-inclusive resort, because I'm new to the island and still feeling things out, I don't want to live and eat on that resort. I want to come out and experience the culture and experience the cuisine. And that needs to just stay near and dear to everybody's heart. You have a wonderful journey ahead of you. And I look forward to coming back and visiting many, many, many times. That's all. Thank you very much.
That was inspiring. Just to reiterate, the ACF has revised some of its written examinations and some of its practical examinations to reflect a more Caribbean sensibility. For example, we no longer have to import lobsters from the Northeast. We can use our spiny lobsters. We no longer have to import any of the exotic, what we call exotic fruit from the rest of the world. We can substitute some of our own more familiar items, which are cost effective, of course, and more familiar to the culinarians. I should tell you a little story about John. He's proctoring exams at Cardiff, Dr. Dab, and he's working with one of our young chefs, I won't say his name, and he was making a plain cake, of course, with a filling. And Chef John says to him, you know, young man, your cake is good. But as I was walking over here, I walked under a pile of mango trees, and I wondered, had you thought about using a mango puree for the filling in your cake? And we all blushed, because that is the point, to use the things that are familiar to us. I think God's favorite thing is an East Indian mango. I'm just saying. So we come to Chef Ravian, and Ravian is an interesting man in and of the fact that he is a supplanted Jamaican. Are we calling you that today, Ravi? But he has simply embraced what it is that we do here. And Ravi has made it, he's one of those persons who has made it his business to participate in and pay for his own certification. And that is important to us because, of course, although everybody will not be able to pay for his own certification, we really want people to see certification as your own professional development and embrace that. So, Chef Ravi, take it away.
Good afternoon, everybody. Dr. Dyer, Chef Shop, great, fantastic presentations. Of course, good to see Mr. Reader on board. Of course, I see Mrs. Brown always. Few things. I came here to Jamaica in '99, and of course, I've been to other islands, but I just fell in love with Jamaica, and I made this as my home. And one of the important things I seen is that passion and love in young culinarians and young cooks for the industry, and as well as the growth and development of themselves. And it's a great thing to see, and you don't see that very often in many other places. And of course, Heart NTA Trust did a great job, and I actively participate as much as I can with community colleges and as well as Heart Runaway Bay, which is near to my home. But of course, in 2000 last year, we got pandemic, and last 12 months, I would say, I seen things which I never seen before. There's a saying, it goes like, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. I think for chefs and cooks, I think that adds to our profession, because we are not in a profession where if things are really tough and it's not really going in our way, we adapt, and we adapt to the changes, because that's one of the things you have to do in a kitchen business, because you have to improvise, you have to adapt, and you have to change to the surroundings, because not every kitchen is the same, not every organization is the same, and that's how it is. And I see in these 12 months, a chef has been a truck driver to make a living. I seen a chef as a mason. I seen a chef as a farmer, and I seen a chef as a pop-up cuisine, small outlets, working in the pop-up cuisine outlets, and I even a chef at a gas station pumping gas. So meaning what's happening? Because people are trying to adapt themselves to keep going, and see when the things will be back to normal, so that they can get back to their industry, they can get back to their jobs and stuff. One of the things is that things will get better eventually, of course, because we have to keep that hope and faith that things will come back to normal. And of course, everybody who is unemployed right now will be going back to their jobs, which they're good at. So that gives a new era of looking at how we can get the right seasoned talent, and how an employee or employer should look at this the whole scenario. I got certified as a ACF certified executive chef back in 2006, and I've been an ACF member from 1997, when I was back in India. And my journey actually taught me a lot of things, and one of the main things is that to see the spark in a person, and see what you can help and how you can develop them. The main factor for hiring the talent right now, with the existing challenges of financial resources for any organization to hire a right person, it's next 6 to 12 months is going to be very tough. But so what do you do for them? I mean, what do you do as an employer? First of all, we have to, I believe, with what Chef Shop said and Chef Dr. Dyer said, is that one of the things we have to look at is what we can do in terms of their growth and development. Remuneration and salary is only a part of it, right? What else? First thing is, we have to show them that these certification programs, which are done in conjunction with TEF and JCTI, are very important for their career. Meaning they can actually take this certification, and when they have this certification next to their name, they can actually use this credential wherever they go in the world, because it's very important. And secondly, what we've seen in these 12 months, that chefs can multitask. They can do various jobs. And I've seen people doing 3 jobs in a day right now to keep the things going. So multitasking is a very key element. So when you're hiring somebody, we need to see them as, okay, when you're a multitask person, you have to motivate them to get certified in various different areas. I've been a certified executive chef. Right now, I'm working on my certified executive pastry chef certification, and I've been an evaluator, and I want to do a certified educator level in future. So what does it mean? So we have to inform and educate and train these levels of certification into various staff members, saying that, okay, this is one way of developing yourself. Your self-growth is very important for you as well as the organization. And the next thing is entrepreneurship skills. A lot of people are very interested to do their own small business. And I seen actually some students come out of Cardiff Hall Heart Institute, and I seen some of them opening small online catering companies, making tarts, baking lasagnas, doing pizzas, and also a seafood boil, a Louisiana seafood broil, which they made it in a Caribbean style, and they've been selling online. So that is another way of developing the staff, because, okay, you are employed to us. What is the next step? Certification is one part. What is your other growth? Can we help you with some kind of entrepreneurial skills? If you're trying to do a different, cuisine, or if you want to open a different business, what is it we can do? Because the normal hiring process, which used to happen in the past, is going to continuously change in the future, because the things are changing, technology is changing, and we've seen in this last 12 months, the whole technology of doing meetings and webinars, and of course, right now we are in the one of them right now. All these things have been emerging to be a part of our daily lives. So when this can be a part of our daily life, why cannot use technology as part of their development training in terms of entrepreneurship? And another important factor is that farming, because many of the culinarians in general, it can be Europe, or it can be United States, or it can be Caribbean. Most of the times they get the produce, or they get their proteins and various products delivered to their doorstep into the receiving line. And from there, they take it, they process it, they make a great presentations, and basically their ambition is to make the customer happy. But one of the things we observed is that many of them start to grow small agricultural produce in their own backyard, which is actually which is not really a new trend, but it has been existing for centuries. But it got a little bit of comfort zone, in terms of, getting the things easily and making it. If they can develop the skill of, okay, from not only from farm to table, from farming to table, it can be a different ideology for them to know where their produce is coming from, where their proteins are coming from. And one of the things is that the organizations also have to make an impact, that cooks and the chefs have to make a relationship with the local farmers and local communities, so it can be a better place for all of us in future. And that is the whole aspect of the future. Because if we combinedly work together, if we combinedly can lift our society where we're living in, and where we're getting our produce, how are our farmers living, and how we can make these products very unique, and how we can make this to a plate, in the end, the result will be a fine Caribbean cuisine. And I always said this, Jamaican cuisine is so great, but of course, you can add a little bit of more techniques to it, and you can make it as a world-class cuisine, And this has been my life work towards all these years. I worked with many chefs who developed and trained me to adapt the surroundings in Caribbean, but at the same time, we are the people who need to look at in a different aspects of how we can grow and develop the young chefs. Last but not the least is we have to take certification very serious. And thanks to Ms. Carol Rose Brown and Dr. Dyer and Chef Shop, and of course, Chef Jeremy Abbey from, past ACF certification chair. These are the team, these are the people who put all the certification in process, which actually in the future is going to actually play a big role in everybody's life, especially in the kitchens. And we as an organizations, and and like Chef Shop said, in his business, everybody has to be certified. And I operate a business, and which I'm putting the same program in place, that after these things get better and things can go to normal, all my 21 staff who have been employed with us are going to go get certification. And we will do this every way possible. And the same, my suggestion to every organization in this country is support TEF, support JCTI, support HEART to make this as a reality, and help them to create goals for their own self-development as well as the organization they work for. And I thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Chef Ravi. Thanks for the shout out for JCTI. We'll talk a little bit about that down the road. But I just tell you a little story, Chef Ravi. One of the first certification exams I observed, Chef Abby was the lead. I noticed that Jeremy kept looking in the garbage. And after about, this is like a 6-hour event, and after about 3 hours, I'm saying, Jeremy, what's it with the garbage? He says, Carol Rose, look, in a kitchen, if the chef does not know what he's doing, the restaurateur's profit is in the garbage. If he doesn't peel the potatoes properly, the profit is in the garbage. If he doesn't peel the carrots properly, the profits are in the garbage. And I found that to be very interesting. And it seems to me that this is why the whole commitment to profit making, the commitment to being competitive, is a reason why certification is important. When you have in your institution, in your kitchen, certified people, you can be absolutely sure that they're concerned about making sure the thing is done properly, making sure that the best return on investment is on their brain. That is what they are focused on. And to bring to you our last speaker, my friend Clifton Reader, who operates one of the swankiest shops in our little world here. We will not tell them what I think is so swanky about it, Mr. Reader, but he is the president of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association currently. And as I said in my opening remarks, one of the hoteliers who has made it his business to hire certified chefs to be in his place. I want to welcome Mr. Reader to be our speaker. Over to you, Mr. Reader.
Good afternoon, everyone. And the connections go on because Dr. Dyer and I came from humble beginnings many years ago, working with a company called Super Clubs. I remember when she was assistant food and beverage manager there. And of course, Chef Ravi. We've crossed paths many times, work right here at this location I'm at right now. Ravi was one of the chefs here. And I am no stranger to ACF because I was a food and beverage manager many moons ago. And I sort of done a couple of their online sessions and of course, being connected to the Jamaica Culinary Federation as well. They used to be invited as judges. And you know, that's where I would like to start by saying that certification is one of the most important things in a chef's life. We have many excellent cooks, but we need to develop kitchen managers as well, because it is a business. It is a very, very important business. And the chef is responsible for more than 40% of a hotel's profit. I remember working at one hotel many moons ago in Kingston, and we basically could run the EP hotel at 30% room occupancy, but still make a profit from banqueting and the attraction of these superstar chefs for banquets, for people looking to book banquets with the hotels. I'm going to look at about 5 points in getting that top talent, keeping the talent, and making sure that you nurture that talent. And sometimes the controversial part of it, you must know when to release that talent. Because like we used to say with entertainment coordinators, it's not necessarily a career. If you come in for a year and you give that location your very best for that year. You know, many years ago, there was something called a grand tour in Europe, where basically artisans used to be out there and they used to seek out the best roasters, the best chefs in Europe. And they basically used to go on that food and beverage trail. And it has begun again. Because if you want to attract young talent, the first thing the traditional HR manager does is to look at the resume and say, oh, you move around too much. Not anymore, because that's how they get the experience. That's how they get culinary immersion in the culture and everything. I employed a chef for my Italian restaurant about a year ago. And he was coming from Australia and he's Italian. So when I looked at it, he basically worked a year in every single country, and he wanted to come to us to give us what he learned worldwide. And I said, okay, I'm gonna give you a 1-year contract because I know he was on a mission. And by doing that, he spent the 1 year focusing on training our Jamaican talents. And now I can proudly say, I'm now offering that restaurant to a Jamaican. And that is where I think we are missing something in Jamaica. Many years ago, when I was in food and beverage, as a food and beverage manager, and I used to work with Hart as well, we used to basically get the expatriate chef here, talented, really talented expatriate chefs. And they used to be attached, as they are now in the Bahamas, to commis chefs, right? And I think we need to go back there where the seasoned or the professional chefs, Jamaican or expatriates, that they give back to institutions like Hart 2 hours per week, lecturing there. Because when I go through the 5 points I like to present, then you will see how we link everything together. 1, you have to offer competitive pay and unique benefits. The pay is important to some people. They want to tell people, oh, I earned this, I earned that. My first job in the hotels, the chef earned more than the general manager because he was a master chef coming out of Europe. And he was the one responsible for over 60% of the income of that hotel. So he was compensated in a big way, but he was at the very top of his career. Those who are starting should really look at the entire package, because coming up with unique benefits, how do you attract? Our laws even prevent us from attracting the best from somewhere else. If a chef is in a job somewhere else and you try to get him into your property, the first thing that's gonna happen is that you're gonna
We're having a little technology problem. Let us give Mr. Reader's system a little moment to come back. In the interim, let me ask our audience to remember to send us questions. We are with you for a couple of hours, and so we're really anxious to hear from you and to have you ask your questions and answer same as we go through this afternoon. Chef Ravi, you made a point earlier about the importance of ensuring that chefs have entrepreneurial skills, have opportunities to develop entrepreneurial skills. And I wondered, I know Dr. Dyer's Heart has a significant entrepreneurial development program. And I wonder, Dr. Dyer, if you would say a few words about the entrepreneurial programs that you have and that all the kids who are part and parcel of Heart have access to.
Okay, within Heart, all our courses has an entrepreneurial component. But in addition to that, we have 2 programs in the organization that is geared at assisting persons with that entrepreneurial background. We have what we call a trainee startup program. And this trainee startup program is where persons who have are in training or have just completed their training and wants to become entrepreneurs, want to start their own business. Our entrepreneurial unit will work with them to build out their business plans, to help them to get their business registered, and the organization will approve a grant for them to start their business. Once they've started that business, the entrepreneurial officer will handhold these young persons in their businesses for a period of 2 years to assist them with additional training, to assist them with information that they may need to move their business forward, just to ensure that the business remains sustainable. The other component to the training is our MSME grant, that are our micro, small, and small business grants that we do for persons who have started their businesses and need assistance in moving the business forward. We also work with those persons for the period of 2 years, but they get a grant of $1 million from the organization to assist in purchasing equipment, doing their marketing for the business. If they need assistance in setting up their export ventures, we work with them through Export Max, which is, we also partner with JAMPRO for Export Max for small businesses that are interested in exporting their products. In addition to that also, we have what we call an incubator program, where young persons who have started their business and do not have a location can actually come into our incubators and do their work there and then move out with their products. They schedule the time. So it's at our agro-processing lab in Ebony Park. It is at our garment lab at Garmex. And it is also at our lab at the Hart College of Hospitality Services. So there are 3 areas that we work with young persons who want to be entrepreneurs now, where they can use our incubator facility, the trainee startup grant, and the MSME grant.
Dr. Dar, that is absolutely amazing. I'm hoping that somebody in our audience is hearing this and getting ready to take you up on this grant. I don't know too many places in the world where grant funds are available to young people who are starting up on their own. I see Mr. Reader is back with us. May we invite you to finish up, sir, and then we can move on to some more questions. Are you hearing us yet, Clifton? Okay, let's give him another minute. As we are, okay. Clifton, are you in?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Just going back to what we were mentioning about the packages that you need to set up to attract young professionals. We do have a lot of Jamaicans who are interested in the culinary world, but they are weighing many things. And I believe if you set up creative ways of getting them into the organization, and one of them, believe it or not, that works and retain in a long-term way is actually referrals. When I get a referral from somebody like Ravi, I know the quality of a Ravi, I know his professionalism, and I know he will not send somebody to me who is not a true professional. So when that person comes to me, I know that person is going to have a certain work ethic. I know the person is going to want to get on and live a life in the hotel that will be profitable for the hotel and will be profitable for them. Because at the end of the day, you have to show that individual what they can get out of being a true culinarian. Many people come in and they want to show you what they can do in terms of cooking. As was mentioned by ACF a minute ago, the sanitary part of it is more than important because that's a liability when you look at it. We have something that many years ago in Mexico, they had problems with sanitation in the country in general. The government developed a program called Distinctive H. We've taken that program in Jamaica and we've set it up in a way that our local health authority and our local regulations are paired with it. And we literally inspect the kitchens inspect the nails, doing swabbing, everything like that. So you must have a balanced culinarian, and where they learn it is, of course, by certification. Because once they go through the certification program, they will go at different levels, learning different things, not only how to cook. Exchange programs, that's another thing that you have to look at. I believe in university exchanges, because sometimes when you exchange with universities, you send one of your cooks to Europe or to South America or to the United States, then that exposure for them is very, very, very important. 15 years ago, hotels basically, and many businesses, decided that they would take out certain benefits out of their packages and paid more money. And I can tell you that led to less stick-to-itiveness for the chefs and for professionals, because it's not all about the money. It's about, okay, the company gives me this benefit. You have a foundation, so my kid can get a scholarship to go to school. We can get educational grants through the company. When you look at, if you get sick in a company, do you not want that company to be there for you? So that care, that culture of care that is developed in a company will attract people to the company. I generally don't like to take people who walk into my HR office looking for a job. If you're looking for a job, you're not necessarily the person I need. My company must literally go out and find the right talent to match the company's culture, the company's philosophy, because not everybody can work in certain organizations or should work in certain organizations. I had one fellow who came in once and he said, look here, too many rules and regulations in this place. I can't stay here. And he left, rightly so. You have some others who like that kind of thing and will stay. But one thing I must say to people employing creative talents is that you must watch for standardization, because standardization sometimes stifles the talent. When you look at a cruise ship, everything is done from the corporate office. So all you need is a creative manager. You probably don't need that creative chef who's going to get frustrated with you because he cannot change a menu. He can hardly do the specials he would like to do. So you have to give freedom to a chef like that. You have to make sure that the utilization, we talk about from farm to table, how the farmer is going to know what to grow if you don't invite that farmer to see what the end product is like. How many of them have ever stayed in a hotel, partaking in lunch, breakfast, to see how the chef prepared the carrots? When you say to somebody that, you can't take these fruits and vegetables because they're not properly shaped, they're not properly arranged, they're just good for making juices, the farmer must understand this. And a chef must be able to go to the farmer, explain to the farmer, bring the farmer to the hotel, and get that synergy going before you can get that perfect. We talk about seasoning. Seasoning depends on the quality meat you start out with. And that's what training does, ladies and gentlemen. I'll end it there.
Thank you, Clifton. That is wonderful. Let us talk a little bit about what in the world of culinary development, whether it's from restaurants or people or menus. John, I wonder if you will tell us something about how does a a young culinarian get from, how does a young person get from cook to culinarian to executive chef? What are the steps? How would you advise such a person?
Well, there are several pathways. One just on-the-job training, one formal culinary education, one apprenticeship, one certification. But I would say what Robbie and Clifton said are just really important, especially from a young culinarian's perspective. I would say, you know, the race is a journey. It's not a sprint. So there is no real finish line. I stepped into kitchens desiring to be a chef the week I turned 16. I just turned 55 last weekend. I've been in them sometimes 2 full-time jobs. I know this much of what there is to know out there. So embrace this continuous learning and continuous growth. And I would say, and take time to enjoy the journey, because the journey is full of enjoyment if you allow it to be. I would also say, speaking on what Clifton said, you don't want to wait until you need a job to prepare for a job, right? You don't want to wait until that employer requires certification to be certified. And that's the one thing I think COVID has showed all of us. Now, for my staff, I invest so much in them. When COVID hit, we made a decision not to furlough anyone. Not necessarily the best business decision, but for our team, it seemed like the right thing, and it's not right for everybody. But we've been able to protect our employees and reinvest in ourselves, work on some projects, reinvent some new product lines. And I'm hopeful we're going to come out just fine on the other end. But the point is, don't wait until you need it to get ready for it. Always be getting ready for the next rung of the ladder so that you can just keep continuing to climb. And you can decide when you want to stop climbing. It'll be your decision, not your employers or workforce or whatever's happening. You'll just say, hey, I like it here. I'm going to hang out here for a while. So always work on what you're doing. And I'm sorry to jump in again. Somebody's always watching you, right? So again, what Mr. Reeder said was, you know, if Ravi refers somebody to him, he knows that's a good hire. So make sure everybody sees you, sees your integrity, sees your focus, sees your will to better yourself and do the right things when nobody is watching, because somebody's always watching.
Somebody's always watching, indeed. We have a question from an audience member. How do we get on board with ACF? Well, that is a fairly simple question. In order to get certified by the ACF, you need to submit an application to the Jamaica Center of Tourism Innovation through the Tourism Enhancement Fund. You need some qualifications. You need to be in college at the associate degree, or you need to have 3 years cooking experience under your belt, or you need to have level 2 certification from Miss Janet Hart. So any one of those conditions will ready you for an invite into the ACF certification program. We have another question for you, Dr. Dyer. How is Hart preparing cooks for Jamaican restaurants? You're muted. Dr. Dyer, you're muted.
Yes. We will notice that we have moved now to, instead of our full certification, we are now going to job certification. Because when we started out, our level 1 program trained you as a general cook. When you got to level 2, you were a commis chef. Level 3, you would move to the chef de partie. What we have realized is that our restaurants in Jamaica are looking for persons in specialized areas. So what we have moved to is creating job certification in specialized areas. So if the person wants to be a breakfast cook, we have developed a certification for a breakfast cook. Breakfast cook. If the person who wants to be a fast food cook, we have developed certifications for the person who wants to go into the fast food industry. If you want to be a pastry cook before you move into the realm of becoming a pastry chef, we have developed the specialized certifications now, as we have come to realize that as the National Training Agency, we cannot be looking at the general certifications alone. So the specific certifications are now in train for persons to get those kind of certification. We have even developed a certification for the man who jerks chicken on the outside, ensuring that the orientation to the occupation, the sanitation component, the methods of cooking, and all of those areas are taken into consideration when we do the specialized certification. What we have also done, and we continue to review our certificates now, is that as we get our trainees exposed to not only what they have learned at home or what they can learn from us at heart, or what they learn when they go on the job training, is the whole concept of developing flavor profiles. The different profiles that comes with the different foods, and we have found that this has become an important part of the development and training of our chefs. So this now is being added to the training programs that we do. So we no longer look at the general certification. We're not throwing that out, but we are now looking at specialized certification so persons can be trained in these specialized jobs.
That is terribly important information, Dr. Dyer. In other words, a program at level 1 used to be a 1.5 year, maybe 2 year activity. Now you can pull out the particular certification you want, and you only go in and do that short period of time for this certification, and you get your papers and you move on. This is really important and brand new for heart, and persons out there should call up and find more about this. I have a question about butchering. I believe you're developing a program for butchering, Dr. Dyer.
It has been developed, yes. We are now ready to offer that program. It will be offered from our Ebony Park institution, where what we find is that we have the animals there, we do the butchering there, so we do the training so they get practical exposure to butchering from our Ebony Park institution.
Excellent, excellent. I want to go back to Ravi to ask a question of him. I noticed that in your conversation about in your next steps, you want to begin the process of ensuring that the people who work for you are certified. And you're talking about this certification in a time when our industry is challenged. John earlier spoke about the fact that in this period of challenge, he also decided to keep his people on and to make sure this was the family they were keeping together. Clifton also spoke with feeling about the fact that there's a decision made to keep his staff together, even continuing the opportunities for them at this time. I wonder if you could talk to small hotel operators, to restaurant operators who may be a little anxious about the cost. I will chime in after you're done about the cost of certification, but I think the thing that is keeping people from it may be cost, and I wondered how you were thinking about approaching this matter.
Yeah, actually, the the answer is in the answer lies within your presentation or the few things you have discussed earlier on when how you can approach an organization. It's a very it's a very critical situation, because when you are asking an organization to keep in their budget in the coming financial year, you know, to add to their budget a cost for certification when things are going to be harder, because for the tourism for the business to come back in general, it's going to take little time, which is a situation we all understand, we all know. But however, for example, let's say if I'm going to Mr. Reader to approach and says, Mr. Reader, I want to present this program of certification for all your cooks, or basically the sous chefs or executive sous chefs or executive chefs. The thing is that we have to also present an ideology where the company can benefit and the company can save out of the certification. Earlier on, you said that when you're doing the first certification in Jamaica, Chef Jeremy said that what's in the bin is what's actually the what we consider as, what some of them consider as waste is obviously not waste. They can be used in many different ways. So when you're approaching the topic of asking any organization to be participate in this certification program, it should be there should be a conversation about how you can, first of all, develop it can be part of the human resource development, where the staff, their self-growth, the certification, what it benefits the organization itself. Every organization can say, like how Chef Shop said, all my staff are certified. That's actually a prestige and a selling point in terms of the sales and marketing strategy as well. And the second thing is the food safety. Every hotel, every organization, every restaurant, every hospitality organization spends a lot of funds on food safety and HACCP procedures. And if there's a lot of training goes in that as well. If the certification program can help actually to reduce some of the costs, it will be a great thing, which actually it can, because to get certification, part of the three things is your food safety, supervisory management, and nutrition, right? And these are very key elements for that. So that is another selling point where we can ask the organization saying that, listen, why can't we implement this program? And third most important thing is that the certification or certified chefs can save a lot of money in terms of how you can preserve food, how do you recycle food, how do you actually eliminate the waste part. Because there is a program I seen on, actually was a part of a webinar other day from WAX about a zero waste restaurants, basically. And this is conducted by World Association of Chef Societies, Cook Societies, sorry. And one other thing is that they feature some of the restaurants in the world, which the chefs who obviously are certified are doing this zero waste management policy, where everything is reused in a different way, either in a stock or a soup, or either in a salad, or either even in building a condiment or a pickle, anything. So there are few restaurants focused on a zero waste, missing nothing goes in the bin except the canned or metal products. So, certification can lead to many ways of how you can save money. And if it can be adjusted in such a way, yes, we can, when you're hiring somebody, you can always inform them of the certification program of the company as well, and what are the benefits of it. And the individual who is going to be part of it also has to put their effort as well to be certified, because it goes two-way certification. The organization which they work for, or the employer they work for, it benefits them, but it benefits the employee as well, the person, because this certification is a lifetime degree, or I can call it as a priceless trophy, you're going to have for life, where every 5 years you're going to renew the certification. So wherever you go in the world, you are ACF certified sous chef, CSC, or a CEC, because there are certain standards you abide by, and that is where when we are approaching an organization, we have to inform them what are the benefits. Of course, there is financial strain on the organization, but how it can benefit. And this has to be a collective effort. And actually, we did start some conversations with some of the hotels last year and some of the restaurants. And of course, we all know that what's happening between last year and now with this pandemic. And of course, my effort will be as a secretary for ACF Jamaica chapter is to push that back into the meetings this year, approaching various organizations about, okay, what is the importance of certification, how it can work.
We have a question from the audience about how much does certification cost, and that brings me for a little bit of bragging rights now. So bear with me for a minute while I brag about JCTI.
Yeah.
To the listener, certification costs vary depending on whether you are a 1,000 room hotel or a mom and pop hotel or restaurant. For students in college, it is free of cost. That is to say, if you attend any college that offers culinary arts certification, you can apply as long as you have the requisite pre-requirements met. Certification is available to you free of cost. If you work for a big shot organization like our friend, Mr. Reader, believe it or not, even for a big shot organization like Mr. Reader's, the certified culinarian certification costs less than $12,000. Now, remember that this $12,000 comes with a number of things. First, it comes with 3 months worth of tutorial from a certified culinary educator. In other words, we don't just leave you to go and find the book and read the book and study the book and take the test. We provide a certified tutor to help you go through the manual, to practice the practical exam requirements, etc. Secondly, we do all the paperwork in terms of the application process. Third, when it comes to the practical exam, we buy the material that you need because, for example, if you're a culinarian, you have to cook a chicken. You have to cut up this chicken and then you have to cook. You have to show the chefs that you cut it up in a with sanitation rules in mind, etc., with your knives and your this and your that. But we don't want somebody going into the market and buying an old yard bird as opposed to somebody who has more money who goes and buys a chicken from one of our producers. So we buy the same chicken for everybody so that everybody goes into the examination on an equal footing. So that is what JCTI does. So if you're a college student, young person, the certification is free of cost. If you work for an organization, there's a sliding scale and the rates depend on the size, the number of rooms you have in your hotel. So it is intended to ensure that everybody has access and that no one can say cost is too high for the certification. So for certified culinarian, just to repeat, from $0 to no more than $11,000 for a 3-month certification program that gets you to certified culinarian. So that is there. Now, you made a point earlier, Clifton, that one of the things you concern yourself about is to ensure that your people don't only have experiences cooking in your kitchen, but you want to help them go to other places to learn more techniques, to learn more skills, to learn how to deal with other people, work collaboratively in other situations. Can you tell us a little bit more about how your organization manages that? You spoke earlier about your home office in Mexico, that young people go there to get additional training. And so I wonder if you talk a little bit more about that for our audience.
Well, we develop a test kitchen in Mexico so that between all our properties, we can standardize every single recipe. We also have attached to it a university of the company. So chefs, cooks are required to go to classes to upgrade their skills. And sometimes classes does not mean the traditional way of going into the area if it's not for a practical. And even when it's the practical, you're coached and guided by your resident chef. And that's part of the examination. Eventually, the university may come to you or you go to the university. In the case of Jamaica, the university comes to us because we have guidelines that our chef has to follow, along with our standards department, pre-qualify the person up to that level where somebody can come from the university for 2 days, do the assessment, and then there's a graduation. So that's very important from that sense of companies. Also, if you're a group of companies, that you make sure that you have people leaving from one company to the next in order to get that different exposure. Because you're working for different managers, you're working for different chefs, and the experience you will have in Jamaica is going to be totally different from the experience you will have for a chef going to Mexico. Many years ago, we had a similar program in Jamaica, and Dr. Dyer can say whether or not it's still in existence or will come back into existence, is the fact that there were, like, in Ocho Rios, probably 20 commis chefs, and those commis chefs were always attached to different hotels. So there might be a pastry one, and you select the best hotel in Ocho Rios for pastry, and that person goes to that hotel 2 days per week to learn from that professional pastry chef how to make pastry. There might be a chef who specializes in the hot kitchen or bread making in terms of the best baker. And during that time, that was a program that developed young chefs and gave them the added benefit of getting exposure, not only where they work, but in other hotels as well.
Yes, I think that is terribly important, Clifton. The opportunity to work with your colleagues and collaborate is critical. We have a question about where, what is the place to improve your knowledge of the fundamentals of cooking? And Dr. Dyer spoke about that earlier. The level 1 and level 2 training in culinary that HEART offers is the place to spend 2 years understanding the theoretical and fundamentals of cooking. Yes. And it's not only the theoretical and fundamental knowledge of cooking. There are HACCP regulations, that is to say regulations about sanitation, Dr. Dyer.
Yes.
If you talk a little bit about what is involved in the fundamentals of cooking, the theoretical knowledge of cooking that you would be focused on in level 1 and level 2.
Oh, yes. Levels 1 and 2 speaks to the fundamentals of cooking, where the trainee is exposed. And I say trainee here because that's the term we use in HEART. The trainee is exposed firstly to what we call an orientation to the occupation. So it gives them a brief history of the occupation from being a cook all the way up to becoming a master chef. What are the different positions that you can move to? Then it speaks to something that is very fundamental, sanitation in cooking. Then the different methods of cooking and the different cuts that you use in cooking. Because some of the times, a lot of our young persons coming into the world of cooking do not understand that the method of cooking is what is going to impact that finished product. The various cuts in cooking. Sanitation, it is something that we keep speaking about. a lot of restaurants have started and have lost everything in the garbage bin because persons really do not understand the fundamentals. The whole component of an introduction of understanding how we infuse flavor profiles into cooking. How do we take the different genres of cooking and infuse our Caribbean cooking into it? All of those things are looked at levels 1 and 2. When they get to levels 3, that is where we say to them that you can now start specializing in the area that of your interest. So the fundamentals are taught at levels 1 and 2. The practical component is stressed, and then what is called theory in the academic world, we call it the underpinning knowledge. The knowledge that teaches them the science behind what they're cooking, the art behind where they're cooking. All of that is done at levels 1 and 2. And then they can now move into their specialization when they get to level 3. Just to segue a minute, you were speaking to the cost for training. Just so we understand that from our partnership with the JCTI, our tutors in heart pays for their training. So, for our to understand that continuous professional development, continuous training is what we are all about. And this is how, as an organization, we are able to keep our tutors, our instructors on the cutting edge.
Indeed, just to support your point, Dr. Dyer, one of the reasons for the partnership between JCTI, Ministry of Tourism, and HART is because we decided to collaborate in this business of providing certification. And as part of that, we make it our business to ensure that the best possible opportunities for certifying tutors is offered to the staff at HART, because we want to depend on them across the country to deliver this level of certification that we are speaking about. I just want to ask Chef John to answer the question in respect of pastry, because I think a lot of the conversation we have has to do with savory, but there is the sweet part of the food business, and there are those of us who go to dinner primarily for dessert.
The sweet.
In the sweet part. So I wonder, John, if you would give us a little bit about the fundamentals of cooking from the perspective of a pastry chef.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carol Rose. They're the same. People think, one's left side of the brain, one's right side. Both sides can be either. But I tell my students, because we hear this the whole time, baking is a science and we need to scale everything exactly. And it turns a lot of people away from that side of the kitchen. And I always first day tell them, not so much. Scaling is important. What's more important is the mixing methodology, the way we put things together. And that's the same on both sides. The fundamental cooking methodologies are usually more important than the actual scaling, if we have to, scale it down to that. So it's the same thing. I have bakers that are very science-minded, very exact, and I have bakers that are very students and both professionals that are very free-thinking and experimental and like to play in a very serious way. So I think it's truly finding your calling, the song that you want to sing, or your voice. And I believe people that come to hospitality, especially in the kitchen, are very caring, giving, connecting types of people. And then it's just learning the skill sets, just like a musician has to learn their instrument, so that song can come out to the best way to the best of your ability. So no mystique. It's practice. Professional versus being at home. it's scaling up. It's a different thing in a professional kitchen than it is baking or cooking at home. So necessarily a great baker or a great cook that cooks at home for their family, you've got some stuff to learn to work in a professional kitchen, but it is, you're already on the journey. And again, it's a wonderful journey. It can be long hours. It can be moments of frustration, but I think there are way more moments of joy and self-satisfaction and gratitude when you do something that is so intimate for another person and you see them enjoying it. And it was a team of people that brought this together. It is definitely a team sport, but it's an individual race. So just try to hold the love and the reason why you're there, and know that every day is a reason to be focused. And there'll be opportunities presented to you to learn every day and grow every day. It would sure be a shame to leave those laying on the kitchen floor as you clock out for the day. I always say, pick up the knowledge. You may not need it, but somebody down the road may need it, and then you have it to pass on.
Indeed. I have a question for you, Clifton. This person is concerned that you mentioned that you have a standard recipe for particular menus, and that is what is presented. The person is a little concerned about how do you then respond to the different taste buds of each country in the Caribbean, say. What do you find is the break point? Is it that they love the taste of Jamaica and they want to taste Jamaica, or they prefer the taste of Barbados, or how do you, or Mexico, or whatever? What do you find?
I think each island should standardize their own, because each hotel basically standardizes towards their guests, because at the end of the day, you listen to your guests, whether through the amount of food going back to the garbage from the plate or just and that should guide you in standardizing any menu. Because one of the things is that we constantly believe in the Caribbean that spicing it up means pepper, and it's not. I mean, right. I've happened to work with some fantastic chefs. One of them decided to do a pimento, coffee, dry rubbed, tenderloin, and it was fantastic. You know, I've seen anything from Scotch bonnet ice cream, no heat, but the flavor. When you do jerk, it mustn't be burning your mouth. And, you know, I was speaking with one company the other day, and they say they make like 3 different lines. So when you're standardizing a menu, you have to look at different things. You have to look at the utensils you're using, the pots you're using. You have to look at the method you're using to cook, whether it's dry heat, whether it's moist heat, whether you're using a gas stove or an electric stove. There are many, many things that goes into that. It's not just a paperwork that you're doing. It's testing and different food qualities. Maybe you're doing a recipe that calls for, and you import the carrots as opposed to our local carrots. Our local carrots carry more sugar. So if you're grilling them or something, they will burn faster. So if a recipe say, keep it on the grill for 5 minutes, if it's the local one, you better watch it. So each standardization must be done in the realm of your own kitchen, not a universal thing. Because even though I spoke about the test kitchen in Mexico, they actually came to Jamaica to do the standardization of my recipes. Because my kitchen is different from the kitchen there.
Exactly. As we're talking about food, I wondered, and we're a few minutes away from it. I'm wondering if we can distress our audience by talking about some of the favorite things we have cooked, some of the favorite things we have eaten. Dr. Dye, you're up first. You're muted. Doc, you're muted. Yes, okay. There you are.
Okay, there are so many dishes that I've prepared that are my favorites. from my days in the kitchen at the Boscobel Beach, Super Club's Boscobel Beach Hotel. I think one of my favorite dish to do was surf and turf. And that was one of the dishes that we served in our fine dining restaurant. And it gave me the opportunity to be working with both seafood and white meat and red meat at the same time, and having the ability to infuse all three into this dish that was just almost loved by everyone. And Mr. Peter spoke about looking at the plates when they come back after the person has completed the meal. And for me, well, I was a specialist at doing that dish. I had become so good at it. So whenever it was to be prepared, I had to go to do that one. But at home, my favorite is doing mac and cheese from scratch.
There it is. Mac and cheese from scratch.
From scratch.
John.
Not the box. I do.
Not the box thing.
No, I do my noodles myself. I do everything myself.
I was talking to a young person the other day who was making mac and cheese and was proposing to make mac and cheese, and she wanted to use these 3 types of cheeses, and I'm saying, listen. Just go find your favorite cheese and make the mac and cheese with it, because you need, before you can put 3 cheeses in a recipe, you need to understand, as Clifton was saying earlier, what is the burn point? How do they make it? At what temperature? What is the order in which you put them? If you don't understand all of these things, you're just going to ruin the meal, waste the money. Don't bother. Find one cheese, use it. So, John, what is your favorite? What is the favorite thing that you have prepared in terms of food and like?
Wow. I generally like what other people cook for me.
That is normal.
Yeah. And I like to not cook the same thing over and over again. So I tend to, my favorite meals tend to be developed over conversation, from knowing a person and really trying to satisfy that person in the moment, trying to give them a place of comfort, a place of reflection. And if I'm cooking for myself, it's chef needs to lose some weight, so I'm staying away from carbs. And I'm lazy, so I like to put just olive oil, salt, and pepper on almost anything and throw it in the oven and poke it a couple of times and come back to it when it's ready to eat. And then I eat that. I try to be unpretentious when I eat.
There you go. Ravi, what's one of your favorite cookie things?
I think in these last few months, I think most of us are cooking at home a lot, which normally I didn't have. We didn't actually, when you're in the industry working, you really don't have that kind of, luxury to cook, every day. So, but I've been, my background is my parents are really vegan, they're complete vegan, and I've been experimenting a lot at cooking at home with a lot of lentils and and a lot of stews based on vegetables. So recently, last thing I made, I think 3 days ago, I made a lentil and a goat cheese sandwich. It came out very well. It's green lentils, which is called mung dal, and cooked with nice vegetable stock, and I mashed it up and we infused with goat cheese and made a nice patty out of it, and I had a nice sandwich with it, with arugula. It was nice. Of course, it has some Scotch bonnet in that. Of course, it has some scallion, it has onion, and it has all that. Of course, infused with goat cheese and lentils. It came out very well. It's really tasty. So it's all about experimenting. You can try in different things, but like Chef Shop said, all the basics. If you have the basics right, you can always experiment. And of course, when you cook for yourself, of course, you can't complain. You should taste better.
Indeed.
Thank you.
So Clifton, I mean, since I know your Facebook page, I know something about your favorite food.
Oh boy. I have many favorites, but I can tell you, oxtail and beans is one of my most favorite dish. And I dress it up because I like to experiment with food. So I remember us doing oxtail, cook the oxtail gravy, had it there, cook the oxtail, and then you boil the lima beans, or you can use the canned ones, take the shell off from the beans, reconstitute the beans as the bone in the oxtail. And you actually, when you present it, it's an oxtail steak because there's no bone in it. So it looks like oxtail, but it tastes the same way, and you still have your spinners on top and everything, but you can use your knife and fork and cut it like a steak because you replace the bone in it with that bean that looks exactly like the bone.
John, did you hear Clifton Reader refer to something called a spinner?
Yes.
A spinner is a completely Jamaican construct. We will have to explain it to you another time. But
Okay.
that is among the more interesting foods we eat here. Oxtail and beans. Clifton, that must take an enormous amount of time to cook the oxtail, take out the bones, and take out the beans and reconstitute them to look like bones. I want to be your sous chef when you're in there. So all of that excited. Listen.
How would you like to cook like me? I mean, cooking for me is relaxation. When I leave work and go home, I just get in the kitchen and just love the cooking.
I agree with you entirely. For me, it is relaxation. And I'm nowhere near the chef quality cook, but I do a fairly decent job at home. And as you say, when I go home on a weekend, it is relaxed, and cooking is one of the ways of doing that. Listen, this has been delightful. I thank you all for taking time from your very busy days, especially in these times. I know so many of us are going from meeting to meeting to meeting. This has been really wonderful. I hope our audience has enjoyed it. I know I have. I hope they have learned things. We look forward. I'm sure, I know that many of you are going to be in touch with the Heart institution to find out about training. And please be in touch with us at the Tourism Enhancement Fund about certification. And look out for us in the media as we tell you more and more about the kinds of certification we offer, and invite you to join us to get certified. Dr. Dyer, Chef Shop, Chef Ann, Mr. Reader, thank you all so much for joining us today. It's been delightful. Any final words from any of you? Dr. Dyer, I'm sorry, Mr. Reader, since you are last, you get to go first. Any final thoughts as we wrap up today?
I just want to say that you can be the best cook, you can have the best certification, but without the right attitude, you're not going to get anywhere.
Correct. Chef Ravi?
I would say keep faith, be strong, keep going, try to pursue your goals, develop yourself, and become an asset to your organization so that organization can support you and can motivate your fellow colleagues or subordinates, and you can always motivate your superiors as well. That's all for me. And thank you for this opportunity. Yes.
Thank you, Chef Ann. Chef John?
I would like to just leave with, the world doesn't need another great cook. The world needs a great person that can cook. So keep that at the forefront of everything you do. Keep love in your heart, have empathy for others, be understanding, and tell your story through food.
Indeed. Thank you, Chef John. And Dr. Dyer, yours, last comments.
I just want to reach out to all my young and not so young Jamaicans to say that Heart is now that institution that will work with you from intent to certification. So come to us. We are here, willing and able to work with you. And all we ask of you is that you come with an open mind and willing to learn.
Indeed. Thank you all so much for being with us this afternoon, our audience across Facebook and Instagram. We are delighted that you are able to join us. And we thank you also for your questions and for your comments. You will be pleased to know, Chef John, somebody loved your ACF video. We may have to purloin it to run in our shop. And we are hoping that in the next little while, we'll see some Jamaican faces in those videos, indeed. So that is our hope. Again, just thank you so much. I want to thank the Tourism Linkages Network for having come up with this idea of doing this workshop, these workshops on gastronomy. I find that I certainly have found them to be interesting and very useful, and to begin conversations all of us need to have, especially right now as we plan for the future. All of you walk good, and thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Take care.
Takes control deep within the heart of Jamaica. A rhythm roars and takes over your soul. And when we were pushed aside, we found a way to conquer. We would not be denied because we are the cornerstone. Ancestral spirits here to guide us. We are never alone. This feeling. I got this feeling. This feeling. Healing. From the farmer down the corner, sipping coffee as he rises. Stepping out, he works so hard, it's no 9 to 5, yeah. To the mother's endless smile as she guides her growing child through the hustling, bustling streets of Kingston town, yeah. From the freedom songs of Marley, the philosophies of Marcus Garvey, Grandma's prayers to Jesus to save our souls. The neglected seek salvation in the name of Rastafari. In this long, hard walk to freedom, reggae music captures spirit high. Feeling. This feeling. Jamaica, a rhythm roars and takes over your soul. And when we were pushed aside, we found a way to conquer. We would not be denied because we are the cornerstone. Oh, we feel it in our bones. Ancestral spirits here to guide us. We are never alone. This feeling, feeling, feeling. I got this feeling, feeling, feeling. This feeling, feeling, feeling. Healing, healing, healing. From the farmer down the corner, sipping coffee as he rises. Stepping out, he works so hard, it's no 9 to 5. Yeah. To the mother's endless smile as she guides her growing child through the hustling, bustling streets of Kingston town. Yeah. From the